Bitcoin and blockchain technology has captured the world's attention with its promise to fundamentally change the way that business is done across all industries. But where there is so much promise, there is an equal amount of confusion about the technology and crypto instruments. In December 2017, the Bitcoin price was at an all-time high of $19,783. The world's media went crazy, saying that Bitcoin's price had gone parabolic. And despite the warnings of savvy investors, ordinary people invested into Bitcoin without knowing the full extent of the risks involved. People took out credit cards, second mortgages, and personal loans to get into the cryptocurrency gold rush. But just a few short months later, over $600 billion was wiped off the value of cryptocurrencies, and the large majority of people lost everything. But some investors became millionaires literally overnight, and in the process became financially free for the rest of their lives. But are cryptocurrencies the answer to financial independence for a few or for many? To get the answer, we have launched a new series called Crypto Kungfu, which will take an investigative look at the current news, risks, and opportunities in the cryptocurrency space and give you access to the world's leading crypto experts right here on the Matt Brown Show. Listen closely to our $1,000 trading challenge, where we will ask these experts to trade with our money to prove whether the world of crypto, like Bitcoin, really do live up to the hype. Welcome back to our Crypto Kungfu series here on the Matt Brown Show. We are 5 episodes in and counting. And get ready for a good one, because joining me today is the Monero man himself, Riccardo Spagni, the lead maintainer of the Monero cryptocurrency. You know, the deeper we get into the series, the more we are realizing how crypto is changing the way we see the world. And slowly but surely, everyone is catching on and waking up to the smell of the crypto flowers, if that's a thing. In this episode, we talk about all things crypto and plunge into more hot topics like the ever-increasing demand for privacy as new currencies evolve, the rise of something called the altcoin season, Turkey's plans to establish national blockchain infrastructure, what a Swiss crypto bank looks like from the inside, and the impending blockchain device boom. And pay attention to a little-known secret about the Winklevoss brothers, or twins, and how they are influencing first-time crypto investors. And should you care? Hell yeah. So without further ado, enter Riccardo Spagni. And we're live. Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of Crypto Kungfu. With me on the line is the Fluffmeister, the Fluffypony, the man from Monero. Where are you guys in the cryptocurrency stack? Wait, don't answer that. Welcome to the show, Riccardo, buddy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Where are you guys in the market cap index at the moment, Monero? Number?
Absolutely no idea.
Really?
Number something.
I'm looking at that right.
I don't really pay attention to that.
Usually I wouldn't go straight into coin market cap this early on the show, but because you don't know your own business, I'm going to, here you are. You're number 12, 1 point.
That's because it's not a business.
Oh, come on. Everything's a business. It's like, what did Jay-Z say? Q? I'm not a business. I'm a business man. And then Monero, just under $1.3 billion in market cap. That's frighteningly big. Congratulations.
Well, it's certainly better than South Africa's GDP.
That's like the first joke.
Can I have one of those sound people in my life?
You can.
When I walk into a room and make a joke that I can play. You can.
Nice. We work with only the best here. So, you'll be amazed at all the different sound effects that we have. We add to them every show. So you can. Yes.
Nice. That's brilliant.
So the audience approves of my my funny, hilarious attitude. So great, dude. It's the first time you it's great. It's the first time you've been on the Matt Brown Show type thing, covering crypto. So I always like to ask, the guys sort of head up. It's like, I suppose you're a bit different. I was going to ask you, what have you seen over the last 18 months? Maybe you can tackle that one. But for those of you who don't know anything about Monero, Riccardo, please give us the headline. Put that story on a billboard for me. And then what the hell has happened over the last 18 months since the big gold rush of our $19,000 high-end price on Bitcoin?
Monero is a privacy-enhancing cryptocurrency. So its main aim is to provide its user base with maximal privacy. So that means providing default privacy for everyone. You can opt out, but obviously the important thing is that everyone has privacy by default. So you get the biggest privacy set you can, and it's really strong privacy. So that's really the Monero's aim. And there are a lot of reasons that we believe, that everyone involved with the Monero project believes, that privacy is and should be a basic human right. In terms of what's happened over the past 18 months, I think there's been, markets go up, markets go down. This is like my sixth bear market or fifth bear market that I've been in. So you become largely immune to it. And it is a great clearing. It's almost cathartic, the way it clears the space from scams and poorly run projects and projects that are being built and maintained by people that have no clue what they're doing and shouldn't have gotten involved in the first place. And I really appreciate the bear market for doing that. In the meantime, people that are building cool stuff are not really affected. Projects that have raised money and know how to handle that raise are not really affected. So, for me, it's okay. It's great.
Yep. It's a true thing that actually in any market, really, people say, South Africa's in the midst of a very poor economic climate, and it's a really bad time to start a business. And in my view, it's actually a really good time to start a business, because if you make it, you've got a bloody good business. So, dude, we're going to dive into the news, and let's do that now. Oh, hold on a second. I'm missing something. You see, Riccardo, I told you would have fun. I'm going to give you $1,000 to trade. I'm going to give you $1,000 to trade, and I'm not even joking. We've got $951. Yeah, so every guest is trading for us. So basically what you have to do is give us a trade. But I'm going to ask you to give that to us at the end of the show. Just a quick update, guys. We are still running that short from Tone Vase on Bitcoin for a period of a week. And from Rand's trade yesterday, we've lost some money. It's not good on the alts. Hi there, guys. So Crypto Kungfu is proudly sponsored by Prime Health and ZA Nootropics. If you're listening to me right now, I know that you, like me, want to get the most out of your day. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a crypto investor, business leader, or simply a regular guy or gal like me trying to build something of value for yourself, you need what I have, and that is a customized mix of premium, high-performance smart supplements and adaptogens from Prime Health. This stuff is the bomb. So these products have helped me to make every day a success and have helped me improve my brain health, cognition, and overall stress management. ZA Nootropics are ready to help you too. So simply head on over to zanootropics.co.za and browse the online store of amazing smart supplements. And I highly recommend the Lion's Mane Mushroom. It will blow your mind. But whatever you buy, enter the code NINJA20 at checkout and you'll receive a 20% discount on your order. I cannot recommend these guys highly enough. So go there now. That's zanootropics.co.za. So, it's time for the news. We don't mess around here when it comes to the news. Hard report on crypto.
Clearly, I feel honored to be part of this.
So, here we go. Let's start with... Let's go with this one. You're an altcoin, are you not?
I'm a human being.
But in your real life online, right?
In my real life online, I am indeed an altcoin, fluffy coin.
You're a fluff coin.
Yeah.
That's got all sorts of other connotations. But anyway, we're moving on.
Does.
So in the news this episode, dozens of altcoins on the rise, but is it alt season yet? Fluffypony, you have already hit this one up, I suppose, or set it up rather than hit it up. But alt season, hectic. What the hell is going on here? Looking at a graph with, I don't know, let's say probably 10 odd altcoins, and they're all on a run. 65%, 19%, 41%, 13%, 44% on Maker. Are we in alt season?
Not yet.
Why not?
I mean, it's, if you look at 24-hour price changes, then it's been alt season like forever. There's always some low cap coin, or even sometimes, coins that are in the top 50 that are on a tear. I think the biggest issue is we don't really understand markets yet, these markets. They're very immature. There's a lack of liquidity across a lot of them, so they're trivial to manipulate, especially like the lower cap coins. There's wash trading that happens on the dodgier exchanges, and then the people that are, or bots on the exchanges with better reputation react to that. So yeah, I largely view stuff like this as either market manipulation or naivety. I think the only time that one can really claim you're in alt season is if you're seeing a broad upliftment over a period of time. And given that we've seen a broad decline over a period of time, largely due to capitulation, I think that maybe what we're going to see is some recovery, which is not the same as alt season.
Yeah, totally. What does alt season look like? What do we mean when we say, or when the media describes, with headlines like this, alt season? We're not there yet. So, what do they mean?
So I think my definition for alt season is if you bought an altcoin when Bitcoin was at $20,000, then how much is that altcoin worth in Bitcoin terms? Because pricing it in US dollar terms is misleading, because when Bitcoin goes up, then of course, your altcoin's US dollar price goes up. So if you had one Bitcoin's worth of that altcoin when Bitcoin is at $20,000, how much do you have now? Well, you probably have like 0.1 Bitcoin now.
Yeah.
And alt season, or maybe if it's a good alt, maybe you've got 0.4 Bitcoin. So you've only lost half your value in Bitcoin terms. So alt season is when your Bitcoin, the Bitcoin valuation of your alt, of the alt that you hold, or alt, increases higher than when you bought in. And that may not ever happen for many altcoins.
It is attractive though when you're looking at a price of an altcoin of like 20 US dollar cents or 18 cents or $30 14 cents. I mean, none of these like Tezos is the highest one here at just over $1, right? So I suppose the unsavvy investor, I would describe myself as completely that guy. He would look at something like this and he would say, I've got $1,000, which we do. So we're going to buy Tezos rather, at $1.1 and then wait for the market to move like 30%.
I mean, yeah. And if you want to do that, then may I interest you in some penny stocks?
Sure. How much you got? Hey, dude, I love The Wolf of Wall Street. Don't diss penny stocks, bro. That oak's a legend. I watched that film recently. Yes, he's my hero. That guy. Not for all the right reasons though. Just want to land that point. You know what I mean? I'm so purely from what he built.
Sure, I'm a big fan of the movie too. It's and of course DiCaprio hits it out the park.
Oh yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, so I think getting back to the topic on hand.
Yes, please.
I think buying an alt that's just gone up is crazy. In fact, if I were to play in the penny stock world, or in this case, the altcoin world, especially the low cap altcoin world, I would do the opposite. I'd find what's declined over the past 7 days. Pick something that doesn't have ridiculously low volume. So pick something that's got let's say, I don't know, let's say we want a minimum of $15 million in 24-hour volume. And something that's declined quite heavily over the past 7 days, but not due to some bad news. So, you Google for the alt's name and see that it hasn't been like 51% attacked, or there hasn't been like some crazy thing like turned out to be a scam and the teams disappeared. And if you can pick a couple of those, then you're buying them probably at like a reasonable low. Again, I'm not a trader, so I'm just telling you like based on my observation.
Observations are great.
Yeah, this is not something that I would particularly do, but if I wanted to play that space, then I think that would make the most sense to me, rather than buying something that's on a tear, because you could be buying it at its all-time high. Yeah,
exactly. You don't know, right? Well, probably are, but buying it at the all-time high. Speaking of this sort of stuff, headline: Bitcoin tumbles while altcoins start downside correction. It's almost the opposite of what they've just said. So, I mean, like, do you know what I mean? This is why we do this show, is because it's like, what the fuck is going on in the media? Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's running, and no, it's down. It's like, what do you do? It's like,
welcome to opposite day.
Oh my gosh, so annoying. Specifically that it's from the same news site. This is cryptonews.com, by the way.
And there's like 1 day difference between the two articles.
I know. Jeez, did you notice that? Damn, why did I close that? Okay, anyway, but there you go. 1 day difference. That's how fast things move in crypto. So by the time you're listening to this, everything's pretty much pointless and irrelevant. So
exactly. Everything I've said is wrong. So it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about some real news here. So Turkey announces plans for national blockchain infrastructure. That is a very interesting
I love the drawing.
Look at this thing.
What is even happening?
It's like an ant illustrated on top of a photograph of Istanbul wearing a Turkish cape, like super ant.
Why is there a robot ant? I mean, like, I don't understand. Are like ants really famous in Turkey?
Oh my God, that is so bad.
Maybe it's because it's Istanbul. No, it's not Istanbul. I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, clearly. So the Turkish government has announced plans to establish a national blockchain infrastructure to utilize distributed ledger technology, DLT, in a public administration. So it's like a sovereign blockchain, basically. So my understanding is that a lot of, pretty much every central government or central bank is toying with this idea of a central blockchain. My understanding is that even in our respect, South Africa has got a blockchain consortium, and the banks are all working together, as far as I understand, to build a sovereign blockchain to enable transactions between different banks on the blockchain. So sovereign blockchains. sovereign blockchains. Is this a thing that we should be really taking notice of as a community of consumers?
No, I think that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that there's some stuff that can be done using blockchains. I think particularly of stuff like property transfers. Anyone who's dealt with the property market in South Africa will attest to how painful it is to buy property or sell property. You've got like money tied up with lawyers for a long period of time. The deeds office takes forever. You become an old man whilst you're waiting for the deeds office to give you the new title deed. And then the title deed's this flimsy piece of paper that you better not lose. Otherwise, you've got to go pay a fortune to get a new one. And I think that you could do it tokenized. You could have each property represented as a token on a blockchain, sure. And those transactions could even be expensive relatively. It could cost you whatever, I don't know, 200 Rand to pay the transaction fee. So you could represent it as like colored coins on Bitcoin or Counterparty or whatever. And I think it could be very powerful for something like that, but it would require an entire country to decide to do that. I think that a lot of the proposals are permission blockchains, which I find very boring. You want to have the permissionless nature of a public blockchain like Bitcoin, where if your property were represented on Bitcoin, no one could stop you from selling that property to anyone else. Of course, property is a weird thing because if the government felt that you were illegally selling it to someone where maybe a sanctioned country or a citizen of a sanctioned country, they could just come take your property away. So it's not like it totally alleviates that, but it at least makes it a lot simpler. It would reduce a lot of the strain and pressure on the deeds office in South Africa and similar entities in other countries. It wouldn't totally obviate the middleman, but it would definitely make it, I think, at least, a lot easier. But whether stuff like this will ever happen in any meaningful form, or whether they'll just be dabbling for the next 10 years, is anyone's guess.
Yeah, it is interesting. I just had a chat to Simon Dingle. He was basically saying that, there are 4 stages to any new technology. It's like they ridicule you, and then they get angry with you, and then they argue, and then eventually you win. Sometimes. It'd be nice if that was true.
Simon's really got a handle on a lot of this stuff. He's been around for a long time.
He does.
And I really respect his opinions on this stuff, because he's him and I get along really well. He's pragmatic like I am, and he doesn't he smells a rat with a lot of the stuff that people are shilling, and doesn't he's not someone who is easily taken for a fool.
We need a rat sound effect, please. So yeah, I mean, who knows, right? Who actually knows? We're laughing at it now, but it could be a real thing. So this one is, again, I love this country stuff. Switzerland's first licensed crypto bank is eyeing expansion into Singapore. This is a much more appropriate graphic. There's no ants here trying to invade Singapore. So that's quite good. So Signum is in talks, I assume that's the bank's name, is in talks with local regulators to seal a banking license in Singapore, reported by Bloomberg. So this is an interesting one, right? It's a crypto licensed bank, which is kind of not too much of a stretch off what we've just discussed around Turkey, right? So in a sense, like, it's a bank. They have their own blockchain, their own crypto, and they're looking to trade. How does this change your view, if at all? And what do you see is the relevance of this idea of literally having a crypto bank that you can walk into to trade?
Well, I mean, so Signum's interesting, but they largely just their main thing is custodial services. So they're able to give you a bank account denominated in Bitcoin, essentially, which is pretty nice. And they've got effectively what amounts to an OTC desk. So you can deposit dollars and then say to them, like, I want these dollars to be converted into Bitcoin and put into my Bitcoin denominated account. From a consumer perspective, you can get roughly the same experience using Revolut. If I think you have to be a European citizen to use Revolut. But there's they're not the only entity doing this, but it is interesting that they are looking at expansion. I think that there's so much scope for custodial services in a banking environment right now. I don't think it'll be that way forever, but I think for the moment where we're in this in-between world where we sort of have one foot in self-sovereignty and one foot in like the banking infrastructure that we can't get away from, then I think services like this are very interesting, and they'll potentially be quite important in helping people grow to self-sovereignty, which is, I mean, we talk about be your own bank, but the actual things involved in being your own bank is quite daunting for most people.
But just a question, should we get away from existing infrastructures entirely? Because I do think there are some benefits with the idea of regulation. One obvious one is that, when you have regulators, or when you have regulation, you do have institutional money that could come to play with your crypto party, and this is what this Signum Bank seems to have done. They're claiming that they are a fully regulated bank. They've got $61 million in investments, and they're being inundated for new business. So I mean, this seems to be a viable model. So,
I mean, I'm of the opinion that it's not that I'm eschewing regulation or I'm saying like we don't need this. I think there's a custodial services and regulation, two different things. Like you can have regulation without relying on everyone using a custodial service. So you could, for example, have regulation at the on-ramp and off-ramp point. So let's say that everyone was using Monero. How would you regulate that? Well, you'd regulate it when they need to go from Monero to Bitcoin, or whether they need to go from Monero to US dollars or to South African rands. You could also regulate it just through normal regulation, normal governance. So I'll give you an example. Let's say Monero is used or Bitcoin is used for a criminal transaction. You don't need to rely on blockchain traceability or a custodial service in order to go and find those criminals. You can rely on good old-fashioned police work. There's things like tax evasion is another one. If people are trying to use Bitcoin for tax evasion, I think it's very stupid, because ultimately you're going to get caught through things like lifestyle audits, and you can't avoid a lifestyle audit. It's it's pretty easy. If you're claiming that you only earn R5 a month and yet you're driving around in a Lambo, someone's going to figure it out eventually. And so there's no regulation doesn't inherently need to live on a blockchain or live in a custodial service. And I think that regulators are slowly going to start to realize that. As to whether we need to have custodial services, regulation, that sort of thing for institutional money, I don't believe so. I think we've already seen institutional money come in without that. And in fact, like proper institutional money from banks and financial service providers and that sort of thing, they already are used to things like key storage. So banks, for example, use, and large corporations use something called an HSM, which is a hardware security module. And an HSM allows them to securely store private keys. HSMs have been around for, decades. They're not new technology. Some of the largest companies in the world that work on them are companies like Thales and others. And so we're not talking about Gemalto is another big one. We're not talking about a new thing where it's like hardware wallets are kind of new. It's like, oh, look at my ledger or my Trezor. Oh, it's so cool. It's very fancy. I put it in my pocket. This is like the grown-up version of a Trezor or a ledger, and it's been around for ages. And so institutional money can use those. And in fact, a lot of them, like Gemalto and Thales, have HSMs that support Bitcoin private keys, support Ethereum private keys. So there's no reason for institutional money to require custodial services at all. They can custody the stuff themselves.
Yep. It's a great point. Speaking of devices, get ready for a blockchain device boom. That is the headline. And this, get ready for the explosion of blockchain phones. Voice over blockchain. Here it comes.
Blockchain.
Oh, yes. There we go. Much better on the FX guy. Well done. So, yeah, well, I mean, we covered with Ran, we covered a blockchain laptop. There are handsets, I believe, by, is it IEC or Highway, one of the Chinese
HTC's got a
HTC. Thank you so much for clarifying my stupidity. Yeah, so, but it is funny, right? I mean, imagine like you have a podcast app that's pre-installed on your phone, or your iOS phone, I should say. But now it would be quite funny to have a fully blockchain designed, product you can take with you.
So to be clear, what's interesting about this is honestly not the blockchain enabled nonsense. What's really interesting is key storage. So going back to like HSMs and hardware wallets, it's kind of, I mean, at the moment you can do key storage really well, especially on iOS devices. They've got a secure element. There's a standard way to do key storage. But now imagine if your like iOS had a sort of cryptocurrency keys API, and you were able to just like firstly securely generate them, which is kind of a big deal. Like use a secure random number generator that's a dedicated hardware device on the phone in order to securely generate private keys, and then securely store them. Also, how do you move them from one device to another? You upgrade your device, or you move from iOS to Android. How do you move those private keys? So this sort of functionality is very interesting, and it is coming. And of course, this, it enables other things. Like, I'll give you an example. At the moment, if you download Bread Wallet and I don't know, Blue Wallet on your phone, two Bitcoin wallets, they independently store different private keys. They have their own way to interact with the wallet and so on. Now, if there was a shared key storage, then Blue Wallet would really just be an interface to that key storage. Lovely interface. That's great. Same with Blue Wallet's Lightning stuff, which Bread Wallet doesn't have. You'd still be using the same Bitcoin wallet, the same Bitcoin private keys, but you'd be able to do Lightning on Blue Wallet, and then on Bread you wouldn't. So it wouldn't detract from different wallets being able to do different things. It would just enable really cool functionality. Last thing that's really interesting about this is, at the moment, if you wanted to use on your phone, you wanted to use a wallet, you normally have to download a separate app. But if there was secure cryptocurrency key storage and an API that enabled that, then you would be able to access that wallet from within a website. So you're browsing someone's website, and there's a donation button. Instead of having the website hop out to a separate wallet application, there could be a native like iOS dialog that says, or Android dialog that says, oh, do you want to send money to this person? You're busy reading content. Would you like to send a micropayment? So there's all sorts of cool functionality that could be built natively. I think largely a lot of other devices that aren't phones are disinteresting. They're, things like nodes that are in a box are kind of interesting to some people. If setting up a little computer or buying a little computer and setting up a node is an issue, then sure, go get like one of those pre-rolled, pre-configured nodes. Hardware wallets are, of course, interesting, but I think that over time, they're going to go the way of digital cameras. There will be some people that will go like, oh, I'm a power user. I need to have a Trezor and a Ledger and my phone, and then I've got like multi-sig between the three of them, and have all the devices in my safe, but they're separated into 3 safes in 3 different countries. And every time I need to send a transaction, I have to get on a plane. But for most users, they'll just be like, well, I have my phone. Is that okay? Is it, that's secure, right?
I want that. Can I get that?
Which one?
I want the thing where I can say, I'm banked in 3 countries.
Yeah, right. Hi, can you send me 10 Rand? Sure, hold on.
Wait.
I'd like to book a flight, please.
Yeah. From which country would you like to be paid? I'm global, damn it. Well, interestingly, Markets and Markets is predicting the value of this blockchain devices market. Currently, in 2019, it's $218 million. So it's embryonic, basically. But it is forecast over the next sort of 5 years to get to north of $1 billion. So it's going to be interesting to see this, or to monitor the space and see where it nets out in the end. Especially if you can be, that guy who can bank in multiple countries by e-sig. Cool. This one caught our attention. So Arab Bank Switzerland opens Bitcoin custody and brokerage services. An Arab bank in Switzerland. That's the thing that's interesting. And then...
like a contradiction in terms.
I know. It's like, let's just go to Switzerland and open up a custody type service for your Bitcoin, right? Should we do that? I'm serious. It's a great place. Look at this design, though. If you guys are listening to this, you have to watch the YouTube video. We're on YouTube and on Prime, Amazon Prime, and Roku. So, this is a horrendous design. Look at it.
Yeah, that's the pillars with the little digital.
Why is it an Arab? So basically, what they're saying is the Swiss banks are really small, and then the Arab banks are huge.
Because they have all that oil money.
Don't bank with Swiss banks. Bank with Arab Bank in Switzerland. It's much bigger.
They have real buildings and not just like something that looks like it came out of Rome.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have a glass bank made of crypto just falling out the sides. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. But again, this is kind of underscoring what we're saying, right? It seems to me, when I look at this objectively, and not really understanding the underlying motives, but it certainly seems to me that there's a move towards or by financial institutions towards the cryptocurrency space by playing this role of intermediary. It's the same as they have done for centuries. It's just now that it lives in the crypto space.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's exactly what a custody service is. It's just an intermediary that you have to trust. So, for some people, I'm sure that'll be fine. But I think that a lot of people are going to realize, like, A, why are they paying for someone else to hold their money? What are they really getting out of it?
Yeah.
B, what happens when the bank comes along? I mean, the country comes along and says, "Oh, we've got negative interest rates," or, prescribed assets in South Africa and stuff like that, effectively forcing you to ultimately take a haircut. Some of the stuff is frightening. It's happened in all sorts of countries in the past, and when that hits, do you really want your stuff to be held in a custodial service? I mean, I certainly don't. It's my money, not anyone else's.
Yeah. So last one on the news. You'll love this one. Vice Crypto Ratings downgrades Litecoin and Cardano, but ups Monero. How about that headline? Did you pay for that?
No.
You sure?
I didn't. I do not like Vice Crypto Ratings at all. I'm not a fan. So
but
I find this very, very useless.
How can you bite the hand that feeds you here, Riccardo?
I don't think me insulting them is going to make them downgrade Monero.
Yeah, well, just watch tomorrow. It'll be downs Monero. I mean, we have seen this happen on cryptonews.com, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the stink here? How does this make you feel? What is Vice Ratings anyway? Are they like?
They're a ratings agency, so they fancy themselves like the ratings agency of crypto. But to be honest, some of their ratings are like really weird, and it's like some of the stuff really doesn't make sense. It's the same as, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but the Chinese government have got a bunch of crypto ratings. Unsurprisingly, all the Chinese projects are like rated A+. And some of the stuff's just really weird.
So where they based these guys, these Vice people?
Not a clue. Viceland.
Well, you know what? But you know what? They've given you, this is real news, people. Real news. Are you sitting down? If you're driving, pull over to the side of the road safely. And then prepare for this news. Monero has been upgraded from a C to a C+. Well done. Well done.
Finally. What we've been waiting for.
You deserve a bell. I mean, it's only up from there, bro. You know what I mean? You could go from
give the fan of bells.
Yeah, you could go from like a $1.3 billion market cap to 1.35 based on this rating.
True. I'm looking forward to that.
Hilarious. So that concludes the news. So here we're gonna dive into part 2 of the show, which is called, you ready for this, Riccardo? Dying to gauge your reaction here. It's called Crypto Cats.
Very interesting sound effect. What's happening to the poor cat?
Dude, that is from YouTube. I'm not going to lie. We had to cut corners. We missed it, and then we threw it in, and now we love it. It's like, I can only talk for myself. But it gets the best reactions. So basically, this is where we're going to keep up with the main cats in this industry, and we have an in-feature segment here. And it's this guy. I don't know who's who here. Which is the guy... Who is who here? It's okay. Well, firstly, please can you explain who this is?
They're the people that created Facebook.
Yeah, and what are their names again? It's a test.
Bob and Ted.
No, it's not Bob and Ted. It's Cameron Winklevoss. Yeah, that's
yes. You don't want to winkle the half.
You don't want to. Yeah, totally. It's like they brought the half back into today's times and made it cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You can see that they've just come off an episode of Baywatch, and this was the award ceremony.
What the hell, dude? These guys are like intimately involved in the launch of Facebook. They claim it was their idea, took old Zuckerberg there to court and got paid an undisclosed sum. Then they wind up turning up in this crypto space, like as experts. Are they experts? Should we listen to Cameron Winklevoss? That's the first thing. And then, which one is which here?
So I think Cameron's the one with the C-shaped face.
C.
If you look at it sideways. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, like they literally have the same hairline. I give up.
It's almost unbelievable.
It's almost like they're twins.
They are. They must be twins. Are they twins?
They are twins, yes.
They can't be twins. They just had plastic surgery to look the same.
That could be it as well.
I'm not getting backed by.
Like,
do you think Cameron will come on the show now?
You could try. They probably identify as a Winklevoss.
The Winklevoss twins.
Winklevi, I believe, is the plural. One Winklevoss, two Winklevi.
All right, so these guys are doing they're investing, number one, but I picked this up on Tyler Winklevoss's Twitter, and he says, Houston, we have liftoff. The @Gemini mobile app is now live. You can download it at Gemini Exchange, blah, blah, link, fish paste. But basically what they've done is they're claiming to have built, I don't know, it sounds so lame now, but the future of money, right? And they've launched this exchange called Gemini. It seems like if you have money and you have influence, you can pretty much do what you want in this space. What do you say about influencers, and I use that term loosely, who are having a say? They've got a huge following on Twitter, on social media and stuff like this, and they're influencing the ordinary man in the street, like Q-Dot. You know what I mean? And the voice of reason. And they can say whatever they want. I mean, it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, should we take these types of personalities seriously in the cryptocurrency space?
So look, I don't fundamentally. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go out there and say that Gemini is a terrible exchange. I think it's totally fine as far as exchanges go. Whether they've attracted anyone to crypto because they are the Winklevi, I don't know.
No, they have.
I don't know.
They have. There was a headline. He's got a book coming out about him, and Tyler Winklevoss. He and the headline was, and I'm not even joking. The headline was how Tyler Winklevoss convinced his publisher that Bitcoin is the real deal. So I assume the publisher is ghostwriting the book, and then, do you understand that there's it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't.
It makes no sense.
How Tyler convinced me that I should write this book. I don't know. It's I think that largely they are definitely, they hold some sway and some influence. I don't know if I would really consider them influential to the man on the street, at least not in the same way that like an NFL player is. And when you see like some of the NFL players who have been spearheading, talking about Bitcoin and accepting Bitcoin in their contracts and stuff like that, I think that's more influential. People like Jack from Twitter, who is extremely well respected in the business world because he created Twitter. Him talking about Bitcoin, I would find very influential to business people. The Winklevi, sure. I mean, I'm sure they are influential. Whether it's good or bad, that's another thing. I think it's probably net positive. As long as they aren't trying to shill like crypto coin number 73, that's, as long as they're sort of focused on broader adoption and particularly Bitcoin adoption, as I think Bitcoin has the most mature ecosystem, and the easiest on ramps for people, then that's fine.
Or to punt another app.
Yeah, I mean, this is, they own Gemini, so they're not punting someone else's app. You know, they I mean, not like they built Gemini with their own hands, but they funded it. And
are you sure about that? I mean, they built Facebook, dude. Come on.
With their own two hands.
Oh my gosh.
Baywatch by day, developer by night.
Totally. So we're going to talk about the risk. So Fluffypony, what is the single biggest risk? What is the single biggest risk to the world of cryptocurrencies and blockchain at the moment, in your view? What do we need to do?
The heat death of the universe.
That's deep.
Yeah. Okay. Second biggest risk, I guess, is probably regulatory. I think that the technology-wise, the risks there are almost negligible. But I think regulatory stuff can be pretty bad. There are privacy features being added to Bitcoin, and regulators have proven themselves to be naive to the point of stupidity when it comes to understanding why privacy is important. Not all of them. There's some regulators that totally understand why they close the bathroom door when they go to a public bathroom, but there's some that don't and think that privacy is bad and that privacy will lead to it only being used by criminals, which is idiotic because, in fact, the opposite is true. If you ban the thing, then criminals will still continue to use it, but the ordinary man in the street will not. Yeah. So, the best way to make sure that privacy-enhancing tools and privacy features being added to Bitcoin have a net positive effect is to not regulate them, or not ban them at least, and allow people who desperately need them to use them.
Yep. Great point. We're also going to steal that clip about the bathroom analogy and use that on social media to build your profile.
Perfect.
How's that sound?
Awesome.
Great.
Sounds great.
Audience Q&A. So if you have been following the show, or if you are listening to the show, you can head on over to the Matt Brown Show on Facebook and drop us a voice note and ask our guests some questions. This one has come in, and let's hear what she has to say.
Hey, Matt Brown. Simone here in Santon. Would you guys say it's better to invest in Monero or Bitcoin? Thanks.
That's a tough one, hey?
So no, it's not really. I think that quite honestly, for the average person in the street, for somebody who is not deeply involved in this space, for someone who does not have the technical ability to understand, what Monero's value proposition is and why it might be important, just buy Bitcoin. That is the safest bet. It's like saying to someone, hey guys, should I buy Hong Kong dollars or US dollars? Well, if you're a currency trader and you're deeply familiar with the political situation in Hong Kong, you might buy Hong Kong dollars, because you see some potential or whatever. But if you are not a currency trader, just buy US dollars. It's probably going to be okay unless Trump screws it up. And the same goes for Bitcoin. Barring some catastrophe, Bitcoin is going to at least be stable, more stable than most or all alts. And that's worst case scenario. And best case scenario is it goes up in value. And yes, it might go up in value over a micro time scale slower than an altcoin, but it will, over a macro time scale, it's proven to go up in value significantly more than most alts. So I would highly, highly encourage people not to speculate unless you want to do this full time and you want to become a trader and you have, proven yourself to be a good trader, which is like 0.1% of the people out there. And just stick to what we call DCA, dollar cost averaging. So dollar cost averaging means you just buy a little bit every month and you don't look at the price. You don't try and time your purchase. You just buy every month or every day or every week, whatever the time period is. And you buy the same amount, and ultimately you're just averaging into some price.
So buy Bitcoin, basically.
Buy now. Buy now.
Big money.
Big money, make money all day. DCA.
You should be a rapper.
You know?
You could call yourself Maddie Brown.
No. Only if I can sell my records through secure tokens, if you know what I mean.
Nice.
On Monero. It'd be like Matt's Monero blockchain. Launching soon.
Monero Brown.
Nothing. I don't get an effect for that. Whatever. Okay, fine. Here's another question. Hold on.
Hey there, Matt. Huge fan of the show, and I'm just getting into the cryptocurrency space. All these investors are telling me that investing in the long run into the stock market is a good idea. I was just curious, does the same thinking apply to the cryptocurrency space? Thank you.
Yes, but I would not say it applies to the cryptocurrency space in general, but it applies to some aspects of it. So, if you look at Bitcoin as an example, there's this thing called the Lindy effect, which basically speaks about, the complex system like that. The longer it has existed, the longer it will continue to exist. That's a sort of very broad definition, but still it gives you an idea of how you can gauge the longevity of some of the stuff. Bitcoin's been around for over 10 years. It means that chances are the greatest possibility is it's survived that long, it's going to survive another 10 years. It's had itself tested, beaten, threatened, banned, unbanned, almost broken, threatened again, and it's survived. So you can trust to some degree that it's probably going to continue to survive for a long period of time. I definitely would have more trust in Bitcoin surviving the next 10 years than in most companies. If you look at the downfall of companies like Kodak, who honestly, at one point, Kodak would have probably been on everyone's list of companies to buy and to invest money in. Atari used to be a gaming powerhouse. So many of these companies that at one point were thought to be major and massive and good investments are now defunct. And I think that speaks volumes for how risky the stock market can be. Bitcoin kind of survives regardless of what individuals do. It's not like there's a CEO that if he gets hit by a bus, everyone will go like, oh dear, who will lead? And with companies, you obviously have that risk. And there's reputational risk for companies that are tied up in like individuals in a frightening way. And you don't have that with Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin's shot at longevity is probably better than most companies, if not all. And I would definitely I would advise people if they were tossing up, throwing some money at the stock market versus throwing some money at Bitcoin, the best thing to do is just sort of split things out and say, I'm going to put 50% into a unit trust. I'm going to put 50% into Bitcoin, stuff like that. Just spread your risk if you're worried about it. If you're a little bit braver, you're a millennial or, you weren't born in the 50s, then you probably go like all in on Bitcoin because you don't trust the government, you don't trust the banks.
So buy Bitcoin.
Pretty much.
Buy now. Buy now.
Great answer. So let's talk about trading the market. Trading the market. How are we doing? Have we gone up or down?
The voice of reason.
We have sort of stayed
No,
the same.
volume. No, you need to get some volume there.
We've stayed the same since Simon Dingle's advice. We're at about $951.
So I'm going to ask you for your trade, Fluffypony.
Okay. My trades.
Do we just hold Bitcoin? Is that your deal? Or do you want us to?
So I would say, so we got $1,000, right? Or what's the exact amount?
950 odd.
$950. Okay, so let's see.
Ooh, he's getting the calculator out.
Yeah, I'm checking on CoinMarketCap.
We're gonna make money, people.
It's gonna be blood in the streets. Okay, so I would say we're going to use $850 to buy Bitcoin, and we are going to play with $100.
Ooh, what are we doing with it?
Okay, with $100, we are going to take. Oh, this is tough, hey? So tough.
What are you thinking? You thinking alt? You thinking what kind of alts?
Yeah, no, alt. I'm just seeing what's really taken a beating. Sure. So much blood in the streets.
Only in the case of Ripple. Someone sort of shorted that thing when.
Okay, so we're gonna take $50 and we're gonna buy Hashgraph.
Hashgraph, write that down, someone.
Someone, give me a pen. Someone.
Stat. Hashgraph, $50. Lock that trade in.
It's locked in.
Great, thank you very much.
And we're gonna take another $50 and buy. So many decisions. We're gonna take another $50 and buy
EOS.
No, not EOS. EOS hasn't tanked enough. Okay, we're gonna take $50 and I'm gonna buy something called Mindle, which I've never heard of in my life.
Ooh, nice.
MINDOL.
MINDOL. $50. What's that trading at? What's the price?
25.5 cents.
Oh, amazing. We can buy a lot of Mindo. Sounds like a wine. Mindo Cabernet Sauvignon for 25 cents.
2015.
Super aged. Super digital.
It has a cherry bouquet and an oaky smell.
It sounds, it's got a smell of that it might run up to 50 cents. Anyway, we're bastardizing this. Thank you so much, Riccardo, for making that trade. And thank you for being on Crypto Kungfu, powered by the Matt Brown Show. It's been an absolute blast, having a bit of fun. In this episode, it really has been a lot of entertaining visual stuff, and I don't know what else is going on today. But seriously though, dude, thank you so much, and wishing you and the Monero team all the very best for the future.
Thanks for having me.
Fluffypony, everybody. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out the Matt Brown Show. I hope you found incredible value on this channel and on this particular episode. If you haven't done so yet, why don't you hit that subscribe button right now? Pound that subscribe button, and that will allow you to get access to more content as it becomes available. And don't forget to access and approve notifications. So when we do release new content, you will be notified.